both of you guys went to the Gulf War.
Exactly.
And you almost went into Iraq, and now
I went into Iraq.
You went into Iraq?
Yes,
Tell
I
me
did.
about that.
Okay. I went into, I had just come back from Korea, and I went to, upon return from Korea, I went to Fort Stewart in Georgia. I stayed my time, and then I flew out to Saudi Arabia. The whole time that I was there, we were just preparing to go into either going into Kuwait or Iraq. Since I was in the 24th Infantry Division Mechanized Infantry, we went the 350 miles in 100 hours straight into Iraq, from Saudi Arabia into Iraq. And we were supposed to go directly to Baghdad, but they decided they weren't going into Iraq, into Baghdad, and we stayed somewhere along the line of 75 to 100 miles away.
Mm-hmm. At that time, when you were in the Gulf War, did you think that just a few years later we would have to go in all over again and do this thing all over again?
I would say so from my end.
Yeah, I had a feeling that we would end up going back. Going in, we were moving so fast, we were doing so well, we had so limited casualties. My mindset was, well, we're going to get this done. We're going to go into Baghdad and do that. But obviously, that wasn't the case, and we didn't. And to be honest, I was very upset that we didn't, because I didn't want to go back over there for the second round.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it didn't make any sense to me. That why would we do that?
That's the same. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's the same feeling that we got, because I was in the Army, and just like them, they were soldiers. Once you go in and you do whatever you're going to do, for instance, I was support. I was not, being that I was support, my job was to make sure that the infantry, field artillery, all the combat guys were able to do their job. If I didn't do my job, they cannot do theirs. So everybody had the same feeling. Why didn't we not go in? Since we're here, why not go all the way into the city
And just
take care of what
business and
Yeah.
exactly.
The problem
Can I
is-
ask you a question? Why did we go in, when you went to Iraq, why were we there?
oil.
And you
Oil.
just said it. Oil.
To save Kuwait,
We-
which was another
Exactly.
Arab nation, the same people that was in Iraq, and we wanted to protect our oil supply.
Well, that's
That was-
we're
yeah.
we're
The
a
problem,
country that's dependent on oil. That's our
Foreign oil.
lifeblood.
Yeah.
the
Foreign
problem
oil,
is,
foreign oil, because it's easier to use somebody else's resources than burn up our own.
the problem is not really going in, though. It's getting out of these wars.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
what happens
Exactly.
over and over and over again. We think it's really easy. We're going to go in there, clean up, or at least some presidents do. It's easy. We're going to go in there, wipe them out, and come back
Shock and
home.
awe.
Well,
And
I
it's
think it's
shock
like-
and awe. That was
Yeah.
the phrase.
I
yes.
think it's like Jose and David are saying, we were there, in 1991, and, you had the chance. You go back to the history books when after World War II, Patton said, let's move on into Russia. It didn't happen, or whatever, a long, drawn-out Cold War.
Yeah.
All right? And, they say history repeats itself. Well, this is a similar situation in a different part of the world. We were there, we had the troops there, and Daddy Bush turned around and said, okay, enough's enough. Bring them home. Now Baby Bush is just trying to clean up Daddy Bush's mess. And that's how you have to look at it.
The problem I have with that is that whatever they decide, the higher ups decide, that's fine and well. But when you go into someone's backyard and you pick the wrong dog to pick a fight with, these guys are not going to just lay down and let us run through their country like that. These guys are thousands and thousands of years. They've grown up with that mindset to fight to the end. It's like when we first went in, Saddam Hussein said, we're not used to seeing so many casualties coming back. We won't be able to stomach it, and he was totally correct. He was totally correct, and nobody at the time we didn't listen. Our feelings were heightened by 9/11, and we just handled it. It's been handled wrong. It's just been handled.
The lesson here is we don't learn from our history.
we don't know our history. It's not even a case of we aren't even on the first page of the history book. If you went to Washington, D.C. right now and sat down with our senators and our congressmen and said, tell me the difference between a Shia and a Sunni, you would have very few people that even have a clue. And then you would say, well, tell me the difference between a Kurdish Sunni and a Kurdish Arab and a Persian Shia and an Arab Shia who lives in the southern part. And then let's go to Baghdad and let's talk about the Christian Sunnis, Arabs, etc., etc. There's so many different factions there. And then when you bring in insurgents who are basically supported by our friend Saudi Arabia's wealthy Wahhabi sect, you've got another whole group of people that come from different countries that are the terrorists to be reckoned with.
And apparently
so
what-
our politicians don't even know who the players are, let alone what an end result could
So
be.
not knowing the players is what leads to the civil war that they're fighting now, a
Yeah.
religious civil
Well,
war.
not
that
only,
we're
not only not
refereeing.
knowing, not only not knowing the players, I mean our troops that are there. They don't know who the players are.
Yeah.
In all wars in the past, you know, you had, you know, New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox. You wore different uniforms. You could identify your enemy, you know, basically through that. How are you doing that today? I mean, you know, he could be, you know, in a town, of Baghdad or wherever, and talking to me during the day, and at night, you know what? Now I got an idea where this guy is going and what he's doing.
Well, I feel when we went into Iraq, when we did Desert Shield, Desert Storm, we had a defined plan, an objective. We accomplished that, and then we left. And then we set up the no-fly zone, the north and the south, the no-fly zone. This war, there's no continuity, there's no plan, there's no direction. We go in, we do something here, something flares up here, and we're trying to stick our fingers in the dike, in the dam, so to speak, and we're not holding the pressure
We
Because
back.
have, to, we
there's-
have to take a small break, but we'll be right back. And when we come back, I want to know from our guests what they would tell someone like John McCain, who's running for president, who is a Vietnam War veteran, a POW, who wants us to stay in war. We'll be right back.